This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome into the Triple Option here on 365 Sports. That drilling you heard in the background is none other than Bob the Builder himself. He can build it. Yes, he can.
There's the man.
Jack is fixing. Craig and I broke our stage
A little bit.
a couple weeks ago. I mean, you know, and we tried to hide it from Jack. The problem is Jack knows all.
I was wondering I was honestly waiting to see how long it was going to take Jack to notice. And it's been about a couple weeks at least.
Yeah, I know.
I noticed like a week and a half. He noticed?
He noticed, and then, I don't know. You know who I wanted to blame? I wanted to blame Grayson Grunhafer. He was in here stomping. Like, you know, he's thin and, like, doesn't really get angry. And so, like, it may not have, like, been a story that you could have made stick. So, but, yeah, he was doing – so you might hear Jack drill in a second in the background. And first off the bat, I would like to – and I'm going to move my mic so you can see it a little bit better. But Garrett and I are both wearing shirts from our friends at Homage. So here, there's my, hold on. Oh, wait, no, I'm not in camera.
There you go.
There
Bo
we go.
knows.
Yeah. So he's got Warren Moon. I got Bo Jackson. You saw Jack there. He's got his Ted Lasso shirt on. And you'll see some of the other shirts that they gave us today. So I'm going to put the link in the chat for Homage. You can go and follow that link, and you could, you know, use the code and everything that we have. So they're very, very comfy shirts. They've got officially licensed gear. I'm repping. I'm not a Royals fan, but you're not an Oilers fan. But I am a Bo Jackson fan from my youth. He's my, like, if I had to pick one athlete that's my favorite all-time athlete, it's Bo Jackson.
Well, see, like, I kind of am an Oilers fan because growing up it was Washington and Oilers in my house. Like, my mom was a big Oilers fan and stuff. And then when they died off, it broke my heart. So I just solely rode with Washington. But, like, I was looking at these shirts, I saw Warren Moon. There was an Earl Campbell one I thought about getting too. And then Smokey got the Sean Taylor one. You'll see here in a little bit. It's pretty awesome. But, like, my baseball one, Ken Griffey Jr., man. I loved Ken Griffey Jr. Like, playing Little League.
I think they might have some. I'm not
they do.
Sure.
They got some. But, yeah, being lefty, everything. I loved Ken Griffey.
Yeah, I'm fired up about this. And I'm very excited that we have that we've partnered up with them, and they've sent us some of this gear. And you've seen we've got other stuff. People are sending us stuff, and we're doing it. We've got lots of great partners out there, and I'll keep giving you the links, and we'll keep promoting them. But Homage, honestly, these shirts are so ridiculously soft. I mean, so comfortable and so great. So there's their little plug at the beginning of the show. And so, yeah, I've got my Bo Jackson shirt on. I'm enjoying it a great deal. This is a good look. This is a good color for me, I think.
Yeah, it rocks well on you.
I mean, I know that I look a little bit like Violet Beauregard from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, given the shape I have and the color. That I just ate the gum.
You're not floating off, though. You're good.
Oompa, loompa, doopity-doo. I've got another riddle for you.
Yeah, Oompa Loompas.
Chewing and chewing all day long. And I know most people would have said, you're not Violet Beauregard, you're totally Augustus Gloop. And I get that too. He got stuck in the thing in the Chocolate River, but I'm not either. So Bracky Cat said he heard the drilling, and it adds a certain joie de vivre to the show.
It makes sense.
Yeah, which I totally agree with. This show is all about joie de vivre, or juice of life. I'm very worldly, in case you can't tell.
Yes.
So we got an interesting show today. We got 3 different things to talk about. I got an interesting tweet from someone yesterday that I'm going to respond to. And I don't think he was necessarily like mad at us, but like he's a big ACC fan and proponent. Right. And so he's just, kind of stating that. But he's got a little bit of a misnomer.
He's missing the point.
He's missing a point of it, which I'm going to illustrate why, he's right and wrong simultaneously.
Yes.
Or he's almost there. And then in the second segment, intern James is going to come up. He posted I did mine yesterday, but a couple days before, he posted his Big 12 rankings. And so, people started talking about that. And I said, well, he didn't put his name on it. He was just hiding behind the company logo. And that's unacceptable. We're going to, if you're going to put something out there, you're going to put your name on it, and we're going to put your feet to the fire. So he's going to go through his rankings with you during the show, and that'll be his first on-air thing, so I hope he's not nervous and he doesn't cry or pee himself or anything like that. I
have confidence in the young man.
He's a very confident guy. He's a very confident guy. He's also in charge of our Instagram and TikTok. We have a TikTok.
Have you made one yet? Have you done anything?
He's made some, but we have here. Get this. I hope you can. I'm glad you're both sitting down. Jack is standing up, so I'm worried he might fall over. He's holding the ladder.
Oh man.
We have 17 followers on TikTok. Yeah. See? There you go. We dropped the ladder. 17.
Progress. I like it.
Absolutely. And there he goes again. So, but the stage is fixed. This is what I get when I keep a secret from Jack.
Yes, it is. He's definitely going to take it out on you.
Yeah, no, and he is. And I would say it's passive aggressive, but it's not very passive.
No, there's no passive about it at all.
It's not passive at all. See, look, here he comes.
All gas, no brakes.
Yeah, there we go. See, he's all about it. So, anyway, by the way, doesn't it look like Bo is just smiling right at you right now?
Yes.
Even though he was not really that much of a smiler.
Not a pleasant individual.
But, I think he's a nice guy if you know him, but he was very quiet.
Yeah.
His book that he wrote with Dick Schaap, Bo Knows Bo, one of my favorites. And then The Last Folk Hero by Jeff Pearlman. Wonderful story about Bo. But he's very, very quiet and reserved. I saw a video of Bo Jackson one time, and he does this for the Angels. He does it for the White Sox. I think he does it for Royals. He kind of rotates around in spring training. They bring in, former players and special instructors. And he was talking to one of the players' kids, and he was telling him all this stuff. And it sounds like he's making it up. And you could tell the kid's like,
what?
No, you didn't do all that. And then it's like, no, all of it's true. And so he's just telling this little kid, and the kid's like, whoa, no way. And then his dad comes by and he's like, is all this true? And he's like, yes, it's true.
Absolutely
and then he's like, really? And he's like, yeah, it's very true.
It's documented. Go to YouTube right now. Look up Bo Jackson.
He and Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky had a cartoon. Do you remember the cartoon?
Vaguely. They
had a cartoon.
Vaguely.
Now, none of them voiced it at all.
That makes sense.
But it was them. They were sports superstar. They would fight crime by jumping and running and slap shots.
I might have seen clips, but I don't think I've ever seen a whole episode of that. That had to have been before me.
Yeah.
I just wasn't aware.
You're a little bit younger than me, but there was a show.
I missed my window.
That, believe me, the Bo Jackson nut in me, it took me a whole year of watching it to be I don't think that's any of those guys voicing it.
Yeah.
But
it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter. That when you're 9 years old, I know that Luke Skywalker doesn't have the Force, but I'm not gonna have that conversation with myself.
No, you don't need to.
No, I don't. Absolutely not. You're right. So, let's get into this tweet here, Garrett. Okay. And it came on it was a repost, and then me and a bunch of people, Ross Dellinger, Smokey, Flugar, Monty Show, a lot of us got tagged in it. Smokey, Craig, Voice of College Football, all, Mark Rogers, all those guys. So all this guy tweeted all of us, and clearly he's a big fan of watching stuff on YouTube, and he's a consumer of it. So his tweet was, "Data don't lie. When you all going to start acting like journalists and report the truth about the ACC?" In response to this tweet from College Football Kings. 5 teams host a baseball regional, tied most of the SEC. 5 teams advance to the Super Regionals. 4 teams in the College World Series. We know it's SEC, ACC. 4 teams in the Sweet 16 in basketball. That was the most. 3 teams in the Elite 8, the most. 1 team in the Final Four. Well, everybody, like, you know,
Yeah.
but they had a team in the Final Four. One undefeated college football team that was robbed of a CFP appearance, who beat two SEC teams, both by 2+ possessions. I can't remember who that was. That's very true. 7-5 head-to-head record with the SEC in football, and 4-3 head-to-head record with the Big Ten in football. And we're supposed to believe that the ACC is on some sort of second tier to the Power 2 super conference in college athletics. Okay, here's the thing.
Yep.
All of that, that was just all facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, saying that we're not saying, and I've never once said the ACC is weaker.
No, you of all people
Yeah.
wouldn't say that.
I'm telling you, and I'm the one, like, you can go back and look at the Twitter battle I got in with everyone after the TCU and Georgia debacle.
Yeah.
That was, this doesn't say anything about the SEC as it does about Georgia.
Right.
We're looking like, and yes, the SEC is consistently better. Their talent is a little bit bigger, stronger, and faster than most.
Especially in the trenches. That's really
especially
where
in the
it
trenches. That's where the difference happens. However, like you saw that 7-5 head-to-head with the SEC. A lot of Big 12 teams don't play SEC teams. It doesn't happen that much, mostly because, you know, a third of their conference now has come from it.
Exactly.
And they decided they're not going to play anymore and all those things. So, you know, but there's also not a lot of cross-conference rivalries.
No.
Anyway, like, as much as there should be, right? So, yeah, the ACC was better. There were 7-5 against the SEC last year. But you take Florida State out of that, they're 500.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, like...
Well, I think this is a bigger picture thing because it's all true. Like, this one year, they were there.
Yeah.
But I think that what he's missing is once the money starts coming in for the SEC and the Big Ten, I feel like there's probably about a 5-year window here for every team to play somewhat on a level field, somewhat. Now, once the money starts really coming in for the ACC or for the SEC and the Big Ten, we talked about it the other day with Paul Maneri going to South Carolina to coach baseball. Craig has an excellent point yesterday on 365 Sports Show about this. The money difference is going to cause a chasm, and that's where the ACC, the Big 12, and everybody else aren't going to be able to compete in other sports because all that money is going to start trickling over there. You're seeing it with Alabama this year in basketball. While they have their best player coming back, you have Nate Oates and everything, they're already gassing Alabama up like they're a power.
Yeah.
Which they're good,
yeah.
but you're going to start seeing that more. You're going to start – it's going to be all Arkansas this year with Coach Cal, and you're starting to see the narrative, and it's only going to get more difficult for if you're not in those conferences to compete at every other sport. Where it's going what football is now is what every other sport is on the verge of becoming.
Yeah. And look, here's the thing. He's like, none of this is wrong.
No.
And the SEC and Big Ten – holistically are not that much better than the Big 12 and ACC.
No.
They're not, holistically. But football-wise, they have some things that the ACC and Big 12 and Big 10 don't have. Mm-hmm. Now, so the Big 10 and SEC are separate arguments. The Big 10 got this way because they have massive, gigantic universities with massive, gigantic fan bases.
Absolutely.
That, when you especially when you take out A&M, Texas, Mizzou, and Oklahoma and Nebraska from the Big 12, if you take those 5 really large fan bases out, and then you replace them with, okay, UCF's a big number.
BYU's pretty big.
BYU's a big number. Utah's a big number, but they're not big numbers compared to, like, those are big. UCF's huge. UCF is Big 10 numbers. UCF is high SEC, as like big, gigantic school. So, but like outside of that, you also like weigh it down a little bit with Oklahoma State's not a big school, even though it's a state school. Tech's kind of a big school. It's a nice, good upper medium sized school. Baylor, TCU, like, you know,
Houston's not very
Houston,
big.
Cincinnati are not. Well, Cincinnati's kind of big. But like they can't compete numbers wise because, you know, when you have Ohio State, Michigan State, and the like all around, then you know it's harder to it's harder to catch those numbers, you know. And so the SEC has not only big gigantic schools like A&M and Texas and Georgia and you know Florida's a huge school. So they have population. But the Big Ten mostly did it because of population. And the fact that Ohio State, Michigan, those teams have like storied histories. But in the CFP and BCS era, you know, they're on the same par with the ACC and a little bit the Big 12 when it comes to, the national championships. The Big 12 has two, Oklahoma in 2000 and Texas in 2005.
And they're gone.
And they're in the SEC now. So the ACC in the BCS and CFP era has 4, you know. And then, of course, they had the 193 with Florida State before, Clemson's first one before. But, you know, so they have 4. And then, so it's all about, like, you know, winning national titles. And the SEC, because of LSU winning and Auburn winning and Florida winning twice and Alabama winning 1,000 times and Georgia winning 2 times, has won the majority of the national titles. So they were able to paint this narrative that they're better than everybody else because they kept winning the trophy. Like, that's how they did it. The ACC only had 2 to 3 teams, like even Virginia Tech. Like, the last time Virginia Tech was close, they were in the Big East and lost to, guess what? An ACC team. So, and that was back, you know,
99.
early BCS in 99. So all that to say, realignment's been happening for a long time. But the SEC has just been consistent with their teams winning multiple times and over again. And, like, look, if you just take Alabama, like, if you just say, well, let's take Nick Saban out of this equation.
Yeah.
You know, you lose a ton of those, including one at LSU. But even still, like, they've won a bunch of them, a bunch.
Well, my thing, too, is, like, if all of that data reflected the stability of the ACC, then Florida State and Clemson would be perfectly fine staying put. But the landscape's changing and the financial disparity, they're seeing the bigger picture and they're wanting out. So it's all fun and games, and it's good to this also kind of goes into the territorial tribalism of what the conferences have become. But, like, at the end of the day, man, it doesn't matter. You've got to go out, you got to win football games.
You got to win football titles.
Yes. And
national titles.
And if you can't, or you don't put yourself in position, that it doesn't matter. And, like, Florida State is the prime example. What happened last year shows you that, like, there's no coming back.
And here's the thing. It doesn't matter what all of us think.
No.
It doesn't matter.
It's what ESPN
what all of us
wants.
think. And so, like, it is going the way that the money is pointing it right now. And that is why these things are happening. That's why FSU and Clemson are suing to get out. I'm sure they're thrilled. Like, FSU and Clemson, you ask it, like, take football out of this. How are you happy with the ACC? They're like, oh, we love it.
Yeah.
It's great. But football, we actually like playing in it, but, like, it's not doing anything for us right now. And Florida State can afford to be the loud one because they're the ones who actually got screwed in this. And
they've
there's
also
no,
kind of
like, the thing is,
it.
we don't know how this is going to manifest itself again when it comes down to, all right, like, the reasoning that the committee gave was like, well, this is the last year that something like this could tragically happen. And, you know, you're all winners, but, you know, only 4 of us can go, and it's not the 4 most deserving, it's the 4 that we like, you know, all those things that they said. The ACC now knows, and they have no evidence to the contrary, that, like, when it comes down to it, if it's between you and the SEC and probably the Big Ten, even though the Big Ten has not even close to earned this the way the SEC has, but if it's down to you and those 2, we're going to pick them. So even though the playoff is expanded, like, if you've got a team that gets hot, say you have a team that gets hot and, you know, goes and plays but loses to, you know, Clemson in the conference championship game. And you're like, man, wow, what a great year for you, Virginia Tech, man. You guys are 10-2. You're amazing. And they're like, yeah, but guess who else is 10-2? Oklahoma's 10-2.
Yep.
And A&M wound up being 10-2. And they actually, like, you know, they both beat Texas, and then, you know, they didn't play each other. So, like, now they're there. So we're going to put them in, and then, like,
there's no brand power. That's what it is.
So,
it's the names
sorry,
you're
Virginia
going
Tech.
through.
Like, we know that you have this great history, but Again, well, it's been just so long. Georgia Tech won it. Like the guy, Luke, who wrote me this tweet, is a Georgia Tech guy. They won the title in 1990. They were a great team.
Yep.
They had some really good teams under several different coaches over the times in the ACC, but they haven't been nationally relevant for a very long time. So, like, that's where, when it comes down to it.
And they're in a big market.
Yeah.
Like, they're in freaking
But they're
Atlanta.
also, like, they're not, like, as people always talk about, like, the Atlanta market,
That's
the Atlanta
what I'm saying,
market.
though.
But most of those people are Georgia fans.
Yeah.
Because Georgia Tech is an elite school. Like, it's one of the best engineering schools in the world. It's like all these great things that it does. So they have academic restrictions like Notre Dame would or Stanford or anybody else, Duke. So, yeah, they can't, not that other schools are just letting, guys run in and hit the wall, but it's a lot different. Like, they can't take chances on guys.
No.
Like, okay, well, this guy's riding on the line. They're like, no, he's got to be over the line. This is, this is how we do this. And that, like, so that's why, that Atlanta market. Also, markets mattered the last time around.
They're irrelevant now.
I think it's very secondary. Now it's about your name versus the other guy's name and who is and how that television number does. So, like, if it's about television market, then why is Oregon in the Big Ten?
They shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It's the
if it's about television market, then Eugene, Oregon
yeah.
is not exactly like, Portland is a nice big market, but like it's not that big.
You could make the case, like if you wanted to do that, you could say obviously USC or Washington, they would make the more sense.
Well, yeah, so like that makes sense, but like why would Oregon be in that if it's just about TV market?
Yes,
but that's why Rutgers is in, and that's why Maryland is in the Big Ten.
But they wouldn't be this time.
I promise you. Like if we were going back to let's form, the leagues of like if you're going to make the Super 2 and start plucking from everybody again. Yeah, they would tell, like, if that first wave of realignment had ever happened and we had the conferences that we had in 2000, right? And so the Big East still exists and all those things. What you'd be doing is you'd be like, well, we're taking Miami and Florida State and Clemson and we're taking all these schools because these are the best television games.
Right.
They basically take probably the bowl numbers like would probably dictate how it does. Like, man, that Orange Bowl with Nebraska and Miami did great. We're going to make sure that they're playing more often. Oh man, that Ohio State Washington bowl game did really well. Texas, and then everybody else would kind of be on their own thing. Like Baylor, Wake Forest, Duke, you guys are all together. Yeah. You're the same size, Like that's how it would be because the television numbers are different. That was just about getting on cable boxes. Well, the cord cutting now,
it's gone.
Do you have a cable box?
You know what? I only have one because it's in my rent, and I don't watch TV. I stream 95% of my sports.
Yeah.
I watch streaming.
I don't have a cable box anymore. Jack doesn't have a cable box. Smokey doesn't. Craig doesn't. So, the little thing that I use it might be me watching it in this place, but I can also unplug it from the television and take it with me and watch it in another city anytime I want. And so all that changes the dynamic so much. So while I do you can say that we're being dishonest. We're not being dishonest. We're just being factual. We're like, look, here's where the thing is going. And if the ACC was so great, if it was so wonderful and perfect and, viable into the future, which I wish it was. I'm not wishing the death of it. I'm really not.
I wish the damn Pac-12 still existed.
Yeah. But Florida State and Clemson are leaving. They're leaving. There's no way around that. And when that happens, because they're the big TV draws, we don't know what the rest of it is. But it's not good based on what's happened to every other league. Look, and the Big 12 managed to band together and stay because they realized that they were better together than apart and trying to fight their way out. Because then, there was a chance that really one of the remaining teams after Texas and Oklahoma – it might have been just Kansas. Honestly, just Kansas might have found a home. And even then, it'd been like, well, you guys better get better at football really quick.
Well,
which is also one of the reasons that Kansas is getting better at football.
Yeah, but I also think like the Big 12's in a different scenario where they've had to band together against Oklahoma and Texas for so long that it was just natural for them.
Yeah, it was a reflex.
Right, yeah.
It was a reflex. So like they had the opportunity to come together before like going out on the part. Like the ACC hasn't had to band together against Florida State and Clemson. Like this is new. This is new to the ACC, at least publicly. When we come back, James the intern and his flat-billed cap makes his debut, and he's going to give us his Big 12 rankings. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back. This gentleman is James, the new intern.
That's right. Finally coming out of my hermit hole that is the Twitter. And coming out from behind the screen, you guys can finally see my face. So.
Kinda. I mean, you got that hat on. So
yeah, we'll see.
You'll prop it up a little bit more.
We'll see how my big head translates to the camera there.
Good deal. Pull that microphone up a little bit more.
Right there, good?
You. Yeah, like it bought you a nice dinner.
All right.
Had the lobster. He was very nice to you, and you took you home, and you're going to be nice to it. I hope people get the innuendo in that. Garrett, he did his picks the other day.
Yep.
He didn't put his name on it, like I said before. So today we're putting a face and a name to these rankings so that the vitriolic hatred from the fans who feel underserved. And now, James, mine went up on Twitter yesterday. Smokies will go up today, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Smokies going up today. Oklahoma State fans were not happy with me because I picked them fourth.
Yeah.
Now, fourth to me means that you're in contention all year long for the Big 12 title.
Well, I put them at fifth. So
you put them at fifth. So it's going to be way worse for you. We'll get to that in a second. Tech fans were mad at me. Tech fans are often mad at me.
They are.
They are. And I don't mean to be. Like, I have nothing but love for Tech. Like, really, I don't. I had a guy come at me and say, like, because I've got Aggie blood, I don't respect them. No, actually, my rant about them last week was with you was it was so stupid that they didn't acknowledge the rivalry with Tech, and Tech was beating them all the time.
Right, yeah.
It was just like, oh, well, that's a place we have to go every other year, and sometimes they come, and then they come here, and I don't know, some stuff happens, and then we play Texas. Like, that was just kind of the thing with A&M. And it was really dumb, but there was a Tech fan who thought that I have some kind of bias against them. I actually have two cousins I'm very close with, both Tech fans. And
I mean, their head coach.
Yeah, I mean, when Darvin Ham, was breaking backboards that year that they went to the Final Four, they visited us in Florida, and I sat in sports bars all over the state cheering them along. So I have no ill will towards Lubbock, Texas. I do have ill will towards West Texas in general, just as I don't like to go there unless I'm going to Lubbock, because Lubbock is a something to do town because there's a college there. But, I was in Midland, Odessa 2 years ago, and I was like, I've seen it now. I don't listen. Here's the thing, Midland, Odessa. If you see me again, it's not good news because I'm on the run.
Yeah, I've never been to the entire region of Texas. I'm born and raised.
Yeah,
never went to West.
So look, if you see me at Midland, Odessa ever again, call for help.
Yes.
Like someone is chasing me, I'm trying to hide. That's why I'm in Midland, Odessa. You're wonderful, lovely people, and I'm sure you would help me out. But the topography is not me.
It's not you, no.
It's not me. I'm a Jimmy Buffett guy. He doesn't sing songs. I mean, he might have one, but like he doesn't sing a bunch of songs about tumbleweeds. It's mostly
You want that beach sand, not that dirty oil sand.
Yes, I do.
Florida music.
Yeah, exactly. So James, I'm just going to prepare you. Well, you've already seen it because people have kind of come at you already.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Just now that they know who you are,
like
it might be even more. They might go back and find this tweet and say like, "Hey, that kid they hired is ridiculous. I don't know what they're teaching these people." But this is James's opinion, and we all have them. Mm-hmm. So James, let's go through, and we'll do it tier by tier.
Yeah,
4 tiers. So who are your top tier teams?
So I was thinking I'd just go through team by team and top teams, give a little more description why I have them there.
Okay.
So for my number 1, I put Utah. I think that one's an obvious one. A lot of people got mad at me about that as well, but my reasoning for that is Cam Rising's coming back, obviously. We've seen him return from injury before. We're talking about a team that went to back-to-back Rose Bowls. I don't think he necessarily needs his athleticism to be elite in this league. He's a physical runner. He's improved as a passer. He threw 26-8 in his last healthy season. And then, of course, they've got the tight end coming back, Keithy. They've got 2 seventh-year guys. They've got Kyle Whittingham. He's won at least 8 games in 14 out of his 18 seasons. So that's consistency in one of the best developmental programs now in the conference. I like them to come in and immediately be in contention, barring injury, for a place in the Big 12 championship game. Secondly, another great developmental program, and that's a common theme in this conference, is a lot of teams are taking 3 stars and 4 stars, and then by their 4th and 5th years, they're becoming elite contending teams. And we've got Kansas State with Kleiman. They obviously have Avery Johnson. Mm-hmm. He didn't throw an interception in his little game time that he did get. He's a great dual threat guy, hometown kid, 4-star. I like them to take the next step. They got Dylan Edwards from Colorado. And a lot of the themes you'll notice in my picks here is I like teams that have like a dual-pronged attack in the backfield. A lot of these Big 12 teams, it's one of the best rushing leagues, I think, going into 2024. And they're going to have Dylan Edwards and Giddens. People got mad I didn't put DJ Giddens on my running back list. But but they've got Giddens and Edwards and then Avery Johnson who can run. So I think K-State's, they're in great contention. They went 9-4 last year to get back to Arlington. And then another newcomer, we've got Arizona. People didn't like that I thought Utah and Arizona could come in and immediately rise to the top. But Arizona went 10-3. Obviously, they lost their coach, Jeb Fish, but they retained the 2 most important players. I'm not even going to try and say that receiver's name. T-Mac, Macmillan.
Teteroa.
I can say Noah Fafita. Yeah. They got a couple Hawaiian boys out there, but I like Fafita to at least throw 30 touchdowns again. And T-Mac, he's big on the outside. Guy's going to put up 1,000 yards. I think, like you see a lot of times when you lose a good coach, the program retains enough of their talent, which is rare in this transfer portal era, as we saw Washington got gutted, the place Jeb Fish went to. But Arizona retained their 2-star guys. I think they can keep that continuity and stay relatively successful. They were a 10-3 team. We saw them beat down on Oklahoma and San Antonio. And then 4th, I like Kansas. People were saying they're overhyped because ESPN FBI kind of preeminently rated them as the highest chance by the computer metrics to win the Big 12, which is crazy to see how far the Jayhawks have come. But Jalen Daniels, another guy coming off of injuries, dual threat. And then they've got Devin Neal in the backfield. They've got Luke Grimm coming back. They've got Lawrence Arnold on the outside. They're a team that can do it all. They had an injured quarterback the entire year, still went 9-4. So I think in that top 4, I like all of those teams to be around 10 wins. That's kind of where I'm at. I noticed that you and I both had a pretty similar in terms of numbers were different, but the teams that were in our top 8.
Yeah.
So there's my top 4 if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah. No, I think you're okay here. I had Arizona a little lower because I just think the coaching change has to mean something. But again, I still had them pretty high. On my list, we had our top 2 are the same but reversed. Our number 4 is the same. So yeah, I don't think that. I'm with you.
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and get into where I got the most heat, and I'm learning a lot. I'm a new intern. I've been doing the social media for about 3-4 weeks now.
Yeah.
I did not realize Oklahoma State had such a large contingent.
Well, they do. They do. And they don't like to be
sensitive.
Yeah, they don't like to be doubted very much.
Yes.
And I get it. Look, they're consistently good.
Yeah.
Consistently good. And you just tell this, my assessment is that they'll have a good defense. They've got good wide receivers. They've got a fantastic running back. Mm-hmm. They've got probably the best returning offensive line in the league. They have a quarterback who's only made it through an entire season one time. And the good news is it was last year. The bad news is it was last year. That's where I don't get it. He's also not spectacular in any way. Alan Bowman in a league, I think that's going to be very close. That most games, if you're playing one of those other quarterbacks and it's a close game, I'd rather have almost any one of them than Alan Bowman in the last 2 minutes of a close game. Yeah. So, especially if, again, if you're talking close game and you've got to go take a lead, Ollie Gordon becomes less of a weapon because of that. So, that's where I just see them being in contention, but because this is a really, really good quarterback league. I mean, this right now, I would say that after the SEC and maybe the Big Ten and Big 12 are kind of on par quarterback-wise, right?
Yeah.
When you look at top to bottom. So, yeah. So go ahead, dive into what will essentially be your last day on earth or the invitation to never go to Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Man. Yeah. Lovely city, if you can call it that. Nice town. I've never been up there. But, the guys were questioning my job security. It's not even an official position for the fans out there. They were coming at my manhood, my mother, everything and the likes. Yeah. I've never experienced it, but it was fun. Now I can no longer hide behind the screen. Here I am. But I honestly am shocked. They got mad at you. You put them at 4. I did them a little more dirty. They have a 7.5 win total, which I like the over. I mean, this is a team that consistently gets 9 wins with Gundy, but like we were talking about, they've got great returners on defense. People keep arguing with me about, hey, they've got 21 returning starters. How could you say that? I think last year was kind of an overperformance for Oklahoma State. It was a lot of close games. We're talking about a team that got blown out by South Alabama and lost to UCF in not a great fashion last year. And I think kind of what we were saying is Alan Bowman's injury prone. And then also we're talking about, he's a good college quarterback, but I don't think the 7th year is where he's going to become elite. And you can only run Ollie Gordon so much in a league of great quarterbacks. Now, I mean, in this top 7, I honestly think any of these teams could end up in the conference championship game. But I just look at Oklahoma State's schedule and I think probably 8-4, 9-3 range. And all those losses would probably be in conference. I mean, we're talking about a conference last year where 6 teams won at least 9 games. So going 8-4, 9-3 does not mean you're going to be in the top 3 or 4 of the conference. And then 6, I actually really am high on West Virginia. I was getting some hate on my quarterbacks list for no Garrett Green. I think Garrett Green could pop. I mean, this is a guy, he only threw 13 touchdowns, but he ran for 11, I believe, or 700 yards, something crazy like that. He's a good dual threat guy, but his completion percentage was a little low. They've got at receiving core is pretty good on the outside, and they've got that 2-pronged attack in the running back room of White and Donaldson. So I think West Virginia, if any of those teams is going to blow up, they went 9-4 and jump. I like Jameer White, and then also at receiving room they had Clement and Cole Taylor. He spells Cole with a K, so you know he's cool. 6'7" guy.
Spoken
good
like a true
end.
Lake Travis kid.
Westlake.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whoa.
That's dirty. That's dirty.
Man.
I'm sorry.
I'm Drew Brees and Nick Foles, not
I'm sorry.
Charlie Brewer and Baker. Come on.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was my fault. Woo. Garrett, shit got real for a second. It did.
Texas high school football is.
I know. Whoa.
They're like Oklahoma State fans.
Yeah. We're like, yeah. Everybody cool out.
But West Virginia fans honestly, I didn't see much upset West Virginia fans, but I do like them to maybe fly under the radar if Garrett Green takes that next step. They like the deep ball. Again, they've got great running backs. And then UCF is another team I think could pop. I don't remember where you had them in your list, but
I had them at 6th.
6th, yeah. So that's another team. Gus Malzahn, friend of the show. But yeah, they've got, of course, R.J. Harvey. They brought in Penny Boone from Toledo. I mean, those are 2,000-yard backs, proven guys, a 5th and 6th year running back. And then you've got K.J. Jefferson. A lot of people doubt him because last year was, not up to his standard, but I think Arkansas was kind of a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And then now you bring him in with Gus Malzahn's system. I mean,
R.J. Harvey, Penny Boone, some really good wide receivers that they have. Granted, Javon Baker left, and that was a dude. I would have loved to see those two play together, you can't really have that. And I think a defense that should be improved a lot. They've worked, added some linebackers, which was kind of their problem. They have good defensive linemen, but they're the linebackers, defensive linemen would take up the space and then fill for the linebackers, and they would just be like, oh, I was supposed to get him, right?
Right.
It's the part I forget.
Every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's one of those where, and that's what makes this conference, you've been doing this a lot longer than me, but I feel like the Big 12 might be the hardest conference to predict. I mean.
It's absolutely is.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, if UCF, everything hits right, and Gus Malzahn has a little bit of that, the Gus bus is back and running. I mean, you get KJ Jefferson running the option. I don't think there's many people, even in the SEC when he was at full strength, that could stop him. In the Big 12, I don't think there will be many people that can stop him.
I mean, A&M only beat him 1 year because he was doing a superhuman thing.
The fumble.
And fumbled. And Arkansas was just so agog at and then A&M had that return that flipped that game. If the superhuman thing finishes being superhuman and doesn't turn human really fast, then that's a win for Arkansas. And maybe things might be different there. I'm a firm believer into that one game can completely take away a young team's confidence and momentum, and then it's hard for a coach, no matter how good they are, to ever get it back because it's hard to get those things out of your head. So I'm with you on UCF. All right, who's next?
And then I have Texas Tech. I got a little bit of flack for that, but
I had it in 9. I got a lot of flack.
I think,
for that.
and again, people are going in conspiracies that because Paul's an A&M guy, that's why Paul's not high on the Red Raiders, but. Yeah, Texas Tech. I had them at 8, and I can promise you guys I'm unpaid, so there's no money influencing my opinions here.
Here's what I'll tell you about Texas Tech. If they continue to improve on the pace that they've done in the first couple of years with Joe McGuire, they will finish better than 8th. But I just or 9. That's where that's where I'm seeing them right now because I need to see it. I have to. Some of this is I have to see it.
They need to find a way to win outside of Lubbock. That's their biggest.
They were better at that last year. They were better at that last year.
Still,
they were. Wyoming was a tough start.
But they've got to. But they've got to get on track where and it's not even winning outside of Lubbock. It's not losing to the teams that you should beat on the road.
Right.
That's a thing that's happened to them. When you go to Norman or Stillwater, and I know Norman's out of this, but you go to Stillwater, it's a tough ass place to play. That's a really good team. But you can't go, and lose in Waco,
right?
Which I guess that's flipped. But you can't go, they flipped that. But you can't go when that team is worse. You can't go lose to those teams that are worse than you.
Yeah.
You got to take the wins where you're supposed to get them. And then look, if you go to Stillwater and that's a really good team and you lose that game, you go to Manhattan or Utah, wherever, but. If you're better than a team, it shouldn't matter, where you're playing. That's where I think that they need to get better, and I think that they will. They've been a very young team under Joe McGuire for the most part, even though he's gotten a lot of transfers. I think they'll be better, and the other thing is part of the reason they don't win as much is there's not a lot of teams out there that just roll through. Cardale Jones was an outlier.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
That's an outlier. Nobody goes through the season and has to play more than a couple snaps with their third quarterback and is everything's great. That's generally not a good thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, in Texas Tech, kind of what you're saying, they're trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
It feels like everyone's been saying that for a couple of years now. I mean, after that Texas Bowl win over Ole Miss, they were 8-5. I think a lot of people liked them and thought they were surging last year. And then obviously Tyler Shuck. I mean, the injuries have been unfortunate for the Red Raiders, but I'll just say, I mean, McGuire has gotten hype back around the program in a different way that we haven't seen since the great Pirate Mike Leach put him in the Hall of Fame.
But by the way, I hate to interrupt you. Just 5 minutes ago, Ron Knows Ball, an Oklahoma State fan, commented on my rankings. This has to be one of the worst rankings I've seen to this day.
Hey, what about mine? I put them lower.
Yeah, so fourth. I had them fourth. Fourth.
That's the thing.
I didn't have them 15th. I had them fourth.
It's not like we're crazy. I mean, the 7.5 win total, it's like other people are kind of feeling, hey, they're probably an 8-4 team, 9-3, and it's like we put them at fifth. You would think we did an SEC ranking with Georgia at third.
Yeah.
But Texas Tech,
Alabama 4-8. I mean,
that was funny. But Texas Tech, I think I like the way they're going. They're the only team that's recruited in the 20s in the Big 12 back-to-back years with McGuire, and they've got the NIL going. They're renovating that stadium. I think it's one of those things they've got to show us before we're going to be like, all right, Texas Tech 10-2. If they pop this year, hey, make us look like fools. If Byron Morton somehow turns into Manziel, he's got the same swagger going with the number in the arm sleeve, so maybe that'll change things for him. Obviously, Taj Brooks is going to be a workhorse. That's my next.
All right, go through. We're running up against.
I can just
against the clock. So run through the last 8.
Okay.
And let's know.
So Iowa State, obviously they've got Rocco Beck, could take that next step, and then that's a struggle. I forgot the guy's name. The Abu Sama III, who had that blow up a couple games against Kansas State, and then the end of the year he could definitely turn things up. TCU, they've got Hoover, they've got J.P. Richardson. TCU is one of those teams. Who knows? They could, if we're talking bottom of this list, teams that could, I think, rise through the ranks and kind of over-exceed expectations. I think TCU could do that. Obviously, we're talking about a team that made the national championship game, but bookend that with 2 5-7 seasons. So we really don't know with TCU. Baylor, new quarterback, DeQuan Finn. He's a dual-threat guy. I definitely think Baylor would be more competitive than last year. A name people probably don't talk much about, Michael Trigg from Ole Miss. Great athlete. High recruit. We'll see if he can get things together. He could be an impact player for them. Baylor's an unknown. Houston, they've got Donovan Smith. He's good, but we're talking about Taggart's first year. He usually rebuilds.
Not Taggart, Fritz.
Oh, Fritz.
Don't put that evil on them.
Oh, I can't believe I said Taggart. I was thinking Willie.
Yeah.
Willie Fritz.
Yeah, don't put that evil on them. No one deserves that.
Yeah, you're an FSU guy. You know all about Taggart. Willie Fritz. Sorry.
I've been through that.
From Tulane. So he usually rebuilds teams. And then Colorado, I got some hate about that one. Colorado, I just think you brought in 42 transfers.
Prove it. Again,
yes,
prove
exactly.
It. Yeah.
42 transfers. You can't have half of an 85-man roster be transfers. I just think it's a lot of skill position players. They're trash talking people on Twitter. I don't necessarily like the culture they're running with right now. I think it'll be fun to see. They should be a little bit better, but I would say they're probably in that 5-win. If they make a bowl game, that's a successful season, but it's kind of all skill position guys. They've got Horn on the outside. They've got obviously Shadur, and then they brought in Hayden from Ohio State. BYU, they've got an old Baylor boy and Gary Bohannon, but he didn't have the best rebound over at USF. I'm not sure that he's going to carry them to anything more than a couple wins. Yeah. Paul had them last, got some BYU hate I saw on the tweets. And then I have Cincinnati. They're just kind of, still rebuilding after the loss of Luke Fickell. It's just tough for them to get out of that hole. And then Arizona State, all that scandal post Herm Edwards, and then losing Jaden Rashada. I just don't think they have enough in the tank to win more than a couple games.
Yeah.
That was my list.
I had Cincinnati. Like, we have the same. Like, again, the difference, there's 16 teams. It's really, really hard to do. So, James, thank you very much. Garrett, I don't think we have enough time to do the segment I wanted to do.
Okay.
But we can maybe do that with Steven tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll do that with Steven tomorrow. So, we'll just go ahead and wrap it up here so we don't start a new one. James, you were a hit in the chat room.
They love you, man.
Now, as Taylor Swift hits go, I'll try to metaphor it this way. You were not We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, which is an absolute banger, as everyone knows. You're more like Cardigan. So you're doing well.
Don't know Taylor Swift songs, but
yeah. You're going to look them up. One of his assignments is going to be
I'm going to look at the
Spotify
Spotify streams. So am I all right? Am I?
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was good. That was good. We'll work on it. So
yeah, I got to get used to getting on camera and stuff.
Yeah. So we'll work on it. But there's James. And so when you see something, I'm going to tell you right now, if you see something that does not have one of our names on it, it belongs to James and he forgot to put his name on it. But I've given him permission to put his name on it and say, listen, this is what I, James the intern, think. Which I'm starting to think like Jetty might be a good name for him. Jetty, I don't know.
Jamie.
We'll work on it. We'll work on it. So we'll find him something. He's an intern. He shouldn't have a real name. I mean, that's kind
of your process.
Just call me intern. Just call me intern.
You want to not? I'll tell you why I'm not going to do that later. But no, I think you have to humanize them. But you can't let them feel that
Right,
Not too much.
I mean, I like you to feel confident. I like to be on the air. I like you to grow your career and get better and help us out. But I don't want you to feel like a complete human being. I want you to have a little bit of self-esteem issues. I need you to be a little bit needy.
Low self-esteem builds character.
Yeah,
It's good.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. If not, there'd be no comedy. So, what do you think stand-up comedy is? A bunch of people who are confident? No. Absolutely not. All right, today on the show, we've got Rob Douster. We've got Rob Escobar, who's an A&M fan who's got a wild story that we're going to hear. Brandon Marcello, Rob Bolton. We make our PGA Tour picks today. Craig is out of the game. He's out of it. He is retired. He is not making PGA Tour picks. Of course, my top 5 and Smokey's Big 12 rankings. So can't wait for Oklahoma State to come right on after him, too. We are not going to be welcome in Stillwater. We'll have to go in in disguise.
Yeah.
We're with a police escort and all that. Now, I'm Jack and I are coming to Lubbock. And Kim Coulter knows it. We're coming to Lubbock this year. We're going to go party with Kim. I don't think we're going to be that productive.
Probably not.
I promise you, Jack might be. Jack has to because it's going to be the Baylor game. Jack has to be.
You don't.
Once my pregame hits are done, I'm not productive.
Yup.
I'm not. I'm gonna have the full Lubbock experience.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what
else is the point?
Well, look, do I go to New York and not go to the Empire State Building? No.
Do you go to Lubbock and not go down the bar strip?
Exactly. Do I go to Chicago and not go to Wrigley? No. I'm there. I'm going to immerse myself in it. As a matter of fact, had I not been so worried about doing a post-game show that we didn't get done last year in Orlando, I could have really tied one on.
This is Florida State alum, guys. So Lubbock, get ready.
Again, I can teach you people some things.
I heard the Jello shot segment yesterday.
Look, I'm confident that we're going to do well in the Jello shots.
Y'all should.
Unless it's a normal Florida State College World Series appearance, and then
You're done.
At which point Jello shots aren't going to get it done. It's leave the bottle stuff. Jello shots are festive. Nobody's I just broke up with my girlfriend. Jello shots.
That would be kind of fun to do, though. Just really turn it
Maybe
on
that's what you
sad.
should do. If you break up with your girlfriend and you're like, what do you want? Jello shots. It's the only thing that can make me feel whole
I
again.
want to take the hangover and add a sugar crash on the mix.
Exactly. Love it, James. You're a hit. We'll do some regular segments with you. This is the Triple Option. We're back in an hour, everybody.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private